BEEX project is a no-profit foundation about visual art and photography. If you want to help us, just drop a donation on buymeacoffee.com/BerlinExplorer. So, welcome to this 50 minutes of experience. Today I'm with the Florentijn Boddendijk. Welcome to this podcast.
Welcome, thanks.
So, as you know, today we talk about experience in photography, and not only as a photographer, but also as a human. And I would like if you can say something about you before to go to talk about your picture, your experience.
Okay, I'm a composer, musician from Holland. I mainly work in theater as a composer, and but also together with Remco de Jong, I've made Italo disco records, and then we're called Eli Technique. And as myself, I made jazz remix records as Florentijn. Like somewhere in 2013, I rediscovered my Polaroid cameras because of the Impossible project, and I was hooked quite immediately. And being on the road a lot and being a lot in theaters and among actors and actresses and all kinds of stage settings, I made use of the time I had waiting and traveling to make and discover photography, actually. So I've been doing that for 8 years now.
Wow, cool. It's really interesting because your picture that I discovered, in a way or another, they figure out a bit of music. So then now that I know that, it's even more easier to see that you're a musician. And I love the way you shoot pictures. I mean, there is a lot of experimentation, and you use quite, I think, only Polaroid, no? I mean, for what I see, it's what I know, absolutely. And I wanted to ask you, when did you start taking pictures? Because you have thousands of pictures.
Yeah. I started taking pictures. Well, I was very curious because like the Impossible film, when it first came out, it was so expensive. It really dazzled me. But I tried out one pack of black and white, and it kind of, the effects of it were so amazing. It was like a time machine. I took a picture of my son, and he suddenly looked exactly like I looked 30 years before. And there was so much atmosphere in the pictures. And also because it's such a restricted medium, it becomes very easy to think of things to trick that medium in doing surrealistic things like long exposure or multi-exposure or all kinds of tricks that make this instant film look like it's been tricked, but look like something surrealistic, basically, because it should be instant and just what you see is what you get. But then if you do tricks with it, it's analog tricks, you can get these amazing results. And it's also a bit because as a musician in theater, we work a lot with computers and computer editing, and I like doing analog tricks with the Polaroid cameras, so no computer things.
Yeah, it's Polaroid. It's yesterday. I was watching at an email I received from Polaroid.
Mm-hmm.
Then I was curious because, Polaroid closed for a while, and then there was Impossible project, and then now again Polaroid, and they came out with this new camera, this Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be able now to control some settings like a light, exposure, and so on. And I was so curious because I've seen that. Wow, it's cool. They use an analog function with a digital intelligence, and this is, I think, is a jump really interesting in Polaroid photography. And
Well, what they you had this more or less the same options with the Image Pro in the 1980s, more or less. You couldn't control it
yeah,
from a phone, of course,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
you could make multi-exposures and things like that. But
And,
it's good that they at the new Polaroid they adapted these functions to their new cameras.
but my curiosity was like, what came out to my mind then after that. So, and I started to think, oh, what would be so cool to have a film camera that, in a way, is shoot film and shoot digital. You know,
Mhm.
like you put the film inside, but you what you have is a double sensor, and you have these double images that you can, in a way, also prove because I mean, the professional photography sometimes it's also even good to have a digital copy without doing too many steps, so then develop and then scanning and so on, and then it's just what produced what I have seen, no? And in a way, yeah, you are an analog photographer, and I can imagine that it's cost also quite a lot, this passion, because as I refer to the last prices of
Yeah, yeah.
Polaroid, is kind of that. But I can imagine that you also use your photography to in a way represent something for your music, no?
Not really, because I mean I make 1,000 of pictures in a year, and I make one album, I guess. So I only need one album cover. I guess we used one of my Polaroids on the last 12-inch we did on Bordello a Parigi Italo Disco 12-inch.
Yeah.
But it's kind of detached from that world, so it's a world on its own for me. The Polaroid thing, it's like something else I do. It's not really intermingled that much, but I can do it because I'm on the road quite a lot. So it has connections, but it's not. Yeah, it's different sides of me in a way.
Yeah, I can understand. And I'm curious to ask you that most of your work is experimental. I can imagine that you are alone doing that. I mean, yeah, can be sometimes that you are not alone, but it's most representative of flower and the color lights. Uh, I mean, I like a lot because it's really impressive in some ways. It's really interesting. And poetic, I will say. And I don't know why, but remember me a lot of music of Olafur Arnalds. I don't know if you know them.
Okay,
Uh,
I think I know some. Yeah, yeah.
and I mean, the picture for me fits so good if you should do it, for example, a vinyl cover for
Uh,
electronic music artist, will fit so fucking good. And
mm,
uh, I'm asking to myself, what pushed you to, in a way, go on taking this picture? Because yeah, in a way or another, it's also taking, I think, times to
yeah,
develop
yeah.
this kind of picture.
It takes time and it takes money also,
Yeah,
but it's also like, yeah, it's curiosity. Like I've made a lot of pictures in the evening, a lot of pictures traveling, and then like now with the flowers, you come up with some ideas. Basically, the flowers I photograph is we buy flowers on Saturday, and they're all the week they're in the house, and then they start to die, and then I can scan them and use them for Polaroids. So like once a week, I have this harvest of flower pictures, and it's not taking up that much time, but it takes, you look at the flower and you think, oh, I can do this with that, or I can, hey, this is one I haven't seen, or this is, they inspire you to make pictures. And this has been going on now for 8 years. This one, at the beginning, I was very much interested in moonlight pictures, because you can get sort of the northern light kind of atmosphere if you take long exposures on Polaroid. And then I had a lot of traveling pictures, and at the moment I'm pretty much obsessed with the Christmas lights that are hanging all around towns in Europe, and because they like I worked in Milan a few years ago, and they have like these really fabulous Christmas lights in all the streets, and you can make pictures that kind of make you feel like you're Super Mario in some kind of weird computer game with stars and Santa Claus, and so by keeping yourself inspired to do things, you can make them and incorporate into a kind of daily routine. So in fact, I'm more disciplined at outputting pictures than outputting music in a way.
Yeah, for sure. In a way, it's putting you off from thinking about music, and in a way, moving you in a inspirational part, no?
Well, it's on different tracks, but somehow I find it easier to maintain the discipline to put out 3 pictures a day in my timeline that makes like a story in itself. Then composing a piece can take months. So it's also okay. You can do. It's like the difference between writing a poem and writing a book in a way.
And I'm curious to ask you, how do you archive your picture? I mean, now, for example, on Instagram, you have 5,000 pictures, and not one time, but more than one time. I don't know, for a reason or to another, Instagram, for example, deleted a profile of mine. And I lost years, probably, also pictures. I didn't have anymore because of moving away from the house or so on. No? And I'm curious to ask you if you ever thought about that, if you ever thought about to even more have a website or have an archive online that you can even better share a selected work or compose project. We say.
I have photo books, lots of them.
Yeah.
And so I have like a timeline of my life, and then but also books dedicated to flowers, or books dedicated to travel, books dedicated to abstract Polaroids, or one of my quests is to make the perfect cubist Polaroid. So I have a book with that, and the pictures that don't get into the books, they get sunken, so they will be transformed in a few months, and then they'll be in the sunken books. So I have a lot of books with Polaroids, and I scan everything I do. So I have a large archive, but I'm disciplined to put out 3 new pictures every day almost on Instagram, but not disciplined to make a website or things like that. So I'm not, I would need like some kind of manager to get me to do all the other things different than putting out.
You need just a curator in the end. I mean, someone has take your picture and say, okay, let's do it this, that, and so on. No, I mean, I do it. This is my work, so that's why I'm curious to know. I mean, you have a lot of good material, and I think about, wow, imagine how many good book, how many good exhibition you can do it with this stuff. I mean, there is a lot. Not only of experimentation, but also a lot of there is a pattern, and this pattern go on, and it's a sign in a way, and many people say that there is no sign in photography, but I think there is a sign. It's much more difficult to figure out, but there is a sign of every photographer. I mean, you can see that in a big series of pictures. So then, from 1 to 10 years, in 10 years, we can say after 10 years, in a whole work of someone, even if he's not a professionist, you can see a kind of sign. I think it's the same in the music. I think, yeah, I mean, it's much more tiny and almost invisible, the sign, but you can feel it in a way. And I'm curious because yeah, you uploaded 5,000 picture a year, but I can imagine that you have much more than 5,000. And
Yeah.
I'm asking to myself, during the time, yeah, if you go to watch your past picture in the years, I mean the physical one, they are still in a way the same, or yeah, you lost something. I mean,
The
you
black
lost
and white,
light,
the black
color.
and white from the Impossible era, they tend to degrade quite a lot. The yellow and black and purple for pink and white and like those strange editions, they all fade in a way. But most, in general, the color ones, even from 2013, are still good, or they haven't changed much.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And how do you reserve them? I mean, do you have special boxes, or I mean, from
I don't
the?
know, especially they're all in. So they're all in books, and the ones that I failed, I sync them, and I got some in shoe boxes that I don't care to. Yeah, that I don't know what to do with yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I'm sure I'm interested in seeing all of them.
Yeah.
Because yeah, it's attracted me a lot, this work. And I also remember me some of this picture of a work of Daisuke Yokota. It's one of my favorite photographer, experimental. I really enjoyed that. And I have seen on your Instagram that there are a series of processed Pola portrait in red. So fucking amazing. I mean, it's a really interesting work. And I was curious to know if you produced more of that kind of portrait, and if you tried, and if you didn't, why not?
Of portrait.
They are in red, and they are. I think you feel it off. I think, or in a way, are processed in a destructuring way.
Sorry, I don't really. Are you asking if I'm making portraits, or are
Yeah,
you?
I'm
Yeah,
asking. I'm
yeah.
asking you. I'm asking you if you continued to work on that, or if you stop it, and if you stop it, why you stop it? Because I think they are
Uh-huh.
really unique, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think.
Well, that process is when I see is like they're sunken Polaroids. So you put them in water or some other fluid for a few weeks or a few months, and then they degrade like this. But my problem as like an artist is that this process is the same for everyone. So I can see other people's pictures and they look exactly like mine.
Mm.
So I try to do something different with it by making these portraits and taking them out of the water just before they go really wild. But still, it lacks a bit of personality in a way. So I still do that, but and I got series of portraits with that, and also like I had a series called Missing Persons, and then you could see like only a hint of a person, so maybe only just a smile and rest was erased by this process, and it's nice, but it's not. It's it lacks a bit of the personal sign because everybody can do this. if you just put it on water, something like that will come out.
Yeah, I mean it's a choice. I think this is what make the difference is to choose to make something or not. Huh?
Yeah, that's true, but and I still do it, but it gives me more satisfaction if I make a good flower picture because then I made it myself entirely, and in a way, or a good moonlight or traveling picture because the effect is so easily obtained in a way. I mean, a lot of the things that you do with Polaroid gives you a lot of atmosphere. It gives you a lot of things that seem artistic, but it's just things you buy because you buy the Polaroid thing.
Yeah.
So you have to add another layer of artistry on top of that to make it really stand out. So that's what I'm looking for or aspiring to get above the level of what you can get just by buying it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I understand what we are talking about, and I don't perceive photography as an artistic tool. I mean, can be a good transponder of artistic, but I don't feel is an artistic tool. I think it's more a tool of research. And it's I mean, usually really often in this podcast or in general, I'm listening people as refer themselves to as an artist, but I think the art is a kind of things that everyone detain, because I mean we cannot be not creative. I mean there is people that they train them creativity like me, like you know. In a way we use every day because we choose it to work with, and so then we know that we have to train, because otherwise we will not doing our work, no? Even if it's I will not refer as a work as a job because you get money, but because it's something that appeal to what you want to do it every day, no? But even I don't know if you doing what else you doing. I mean, even if you produce the paper, is there is something of creativity inside. And even if you produce nothing and you just sit in front of the TV every day, you are producing something probably when you dream. And this is for me, I mean, creativity and the artistic are words used, but for me they say nothing in the end. I mean, when someone tell me, I started to doing, for example, art, I mean, for me, what means that, I don't know. So then for sure, in a way we are also slave, I would say, I mean, in a positive way, of the film we choose. So what I think make us not creative, but aware of what we do is to understand that probably in photography there is a lot less of creativity, but we provide a kind of communication in an alphabet that can be universal and can communicate with everyone. This is a nice point. So then for me, it's much more communication than creativity or artistic. Artistic sometimes is, I don't know, it's a concept too much. I mean, it's too much for 50 minutes of podcast will be really complicated.
Let me say that if I sync a Polaroid and get a result like that portrait, well, this was rather intentional, but you wanna, I mean, the goal is to put out something that's creative and tickles your imagination, and you think of something and you want to make the plan come out sort of right, and maybe a bit more surreal than you thought it would be, or something like. So the goal is not to create something that's art, but just to make the most of the creative ideas you have.
Yeah, for sure. So, thank you a lot for your time, Florentine. Was nice to talk with you. Was nice to discover you, and I hope that people listening to this podcast, they will discover you too, because there's a lot to discover in your profile, and I hope in a way there will be also something wrote about you as a visual communicator, because it's I think you deserve it, and it's a really nice research what you do. And I hope to work with you in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Well, if you're in Holland, you're welcome to explore the books and see.
I will love. I mean, as I'm a fetishist of a book, I will love.
Okay.
For sure. Thank you again.
Okay, and good luck with the recovery of your profile, because I can imagine it's been a real setback that it's been erased.
Yeah, I mean, for that I just pass it off. Just is okay. I mean, I accepted, like, when something you lose something, you cannot stay and search in the city what you lost. And here is much more bigger than a city, is a world. So it's okay. I just understood that probably is too much effort on Instagram is not the right things, and even because people probably they don't care. I mean, it's not about don't caring, but it's about that there is too much today than there are less people than they think about. Okay, there is not anymore this profile. No, they don't see that, because when you don't post anymore, it's really rarely that someone comes to search you. Is the point. Yeah, I thank you a lot for the people they searched us, but on for almost 4,000 people, 500 searched us. This is
it's a lot.
Freaking.
And may I ask you something?
Yeah, sure.
Do you how did you end up in Berlin? How did you end up in Berlin as Italian?
I was just traveled 7 years ago, and I had to stay 3 days here, and I liked a lot to walk here, and I said, I would like to walk a bit more time, and then it's actually 7 years I'm here, and I mean, it's Berlin as, for me, as a city, really interesting from this side part. So it's you can find the chaos and you can find the calm in the same way. And it's just, I mean, what I liked a lot is totally different from Italy. That in a way you can be free to doing what else you want, to make what else you want. No one look at you. No one. I mean, no one really care about your presence. And in a way, this allowed you also to spend good time with yourself, or to even be a bit more crazier or alone. I mean, you had the experience. You worked in Italy. I think, you visited often, and I think, Italy is really nice if you want to stay as a tourist. But if you have to then deal with the ignorance of people, especially when you do it, the visual communicator, and it's like to jump in a hole full of shit and to say that is smelling good.
I worked a lot in Milan with an actress who came to live in Italy, so she had the experience of going from tourist to citizen, and that kind of impressed her too. The kind of bureaucracy you have to deal with, and the kind, it's really different. But it's really different than Holland in that way. And I also worked in Berlin quite a lot, so kind of lived there for a few months to work in the Deutsche Theater, and it's like a very big city in all kinds of ways. Like you have like so many times are present at the same time in Berlin.
Yeah, I mean, what fascinates me of Berlin that it's not really big as a city. I mean, if you want to compare to big city like New York, it's not really big, or in a way, it's really accessible, I would say, because transportation here it's really something effective. And what I like is that it's not really big. I mean, after years, you can perceive it's not really big, but is big in the details. It's like, yeah, when you live in the same area or you live different area, you know that happened a lot of things in different areas. And so in a way or another, it's like to make a travel every time, because every area is like a city itself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you again. Thank you for listening to this podcast, and if you want to learn more about us, you can visit the link allmylinks.com, Berlin Explorer, or our website bexproject.com. And if you want to follow us, you can always get news from Instagram on our account BEEX Project. Thank you again, and see you in the next episode.